Hunter Greene did not disappoint as he dominated the San Francisco Giants and got the Reds back on the winning track. We're going to break it down for you on today's Locked On Reds.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Reds podcast. Locked On Reds is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name's Stephen Offenbaker. I'm joined by guest host Eric Matthews. We both love the Cincinnati Reds. We love talking about the Cincinnati Reds, and we can't wait to talk some Reds baseball with you. We're both lifelong Reds fans, and we've been involved in covering sports, watching sports for a long, long time. Eric has as well. We have a really great cache of fill-in hosts that are filling in for Jeff while he's out there partying it up in San Francisco. Boy, did he get to see a dandy. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about that dandy as Hunter Greene goes 8 2/3 innings, nearly a complete game, completely dominates the San Francisco Giants lineup, and really gives the Reds an opportunity to go into a West Coast series and establish themselves and get things lined up to actually win a series out there on the West Coast. We're going to be talking about Dunn, who finally kind of has a clutch moment, a breakout moment, gets a 2 RBI double to give the Reds their sole offense of the day. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what's next for the Reds, because they got to go back out and do it again today. And it's going to be Lodolo's turn to get it done. We've got all of that for you on today's show that's brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets back when your first $5 bet wins. Check out FanDuel.com to get started today. All right, Eric, appreciate you being here. Just real quick, this is your second time through now, but just for the guys that may not have caught you last time, let's take like 10, 15 seconds and shout out your bona fides, because you know this team, and you, while you're here in Hawaii with me, you know Reds baseball.
I've known Reds baseball my entire life. I am a diehard. I used to cover the Reds when I used to work in radio and television in Lexington, Kentucky about 10 years ago. So I've been through the gamut with you guys. I know exactly what we're going through, and I'm excited to talk about Hunter Greene and what he has brought to the table this year, not just today.
And a quick University of Hawaii shout out. We both love UH. I graduated from there. You're doing a lot of work with UH athletics.
I am. I'm the director of marketing and fan experience at University of Hawaii, and every day is better than the day before when you're out here in paradise.
Abso-frickin-lutely. There's no other way to say that. And speaking of abso-frickin-lutely, Hunter Greene, ace. No question about it. Hunter Greene brought his stuff. I talked about this on yesterday's show, Eric, with Tim Daniel. I felt like in the first start, Hunter Greene managed to really fight his way through dealing with this Giants lineup on opening day when he didn't have his best stuff. Hunter Greene then came out and made his second start of the season. It didn't work out, but Hunter Greene had much better control of his secondary pitches. And I really felt like he was primed coming into last night's game to put it all together, to put the complete package together and dominate this Giants lineup. And that's exactly what he did. As I mentioned there in the top, Hunter Greene was not messing around. 8 2/3 innings. He allowed 4 hits over those 8 2/3 innings, walked one dude, one guy right there at the end, struck out 7. His ERA is now a cool, crisp 1.31. If the Cy Young were voted on today, I'm giving it to Hunter Greene.
How can you argue with the 3 starts he's had so far? And looking at today, now, I think he had a little bit more motivation. The whole glove situation in the pregame, that probably did something to make him even a little bit more mad and a little more motivated going into today. But this shows the growth of Hunter Greene. He has gone from what I would call a thrower to now he's a pitcher. He has learned the last couple of years how to really pitch and pitch efficiently. He's not trying to strike every guy out. He had 7 Ks last night. He went into that game working his way through. He was up in the count the entire night. He had a lot of fly balls. Now, there are some of those where I'd be curious to see what would happen if it's at Great American Ballpark in June, but neither here nor there right now. But he was in control the entire game. He had more than one pitch working for him. We are seeing him really evolve into that guy. He is him right now from what we're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. On Tim Daniels' postcast show last night, I jumped in his chat section and was talking with some of the guys that were watching Tim break it down. And I said, I have this line from the offseason where, I wanted to see Hunter in the space of ace. He is the ace of this staff. And clearly he is there. You look at what he was able to do. I had to bust out the St. Patrick's Day jersey. I needed the Greene Reds jersey today to celebrate Hunter Greene. I could not be more excited with what I am seeing from Hunter Greene. I thought he showed it to us last season. I thought that he did enough to earn those considerations and to earn that hype. We really did him a disservice when he was called up, when he joined this team, because we set the expectations for him so high that it was going to be near impossible for him to really meet those expectations. And it took some time, but I really do think he's there. He looked calm. He looked cool. He was collected throughout. And I think he's becoming that guy that is really going to motivate, to fuel the rest of this starting rotation. Because you better believe that Nick Lodolo wants to go out there today and match that performance. You better believe that Brady Singer doesn't want to be left behind when he takes his next turn. And, Nick Martinez and so on and so forth. I think with Hunter Greene going out there and setting the bar way up here, setting that bar high for the expectations of this rotation, it's just going to fuel these other guys to be just as competitive and to deliver just as much. I'm really excited about where this rotation is right now, even with Carson Spires temporarily being in the fifth spot, waiting for Andrew Abbott's return.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's probably the strongest part of the team right now, and we're going to go a little more in depth on the other aspects here in a little bit, but he is stability. That's what he is right now. He is that guy that they signed to the extension last year. And I don't remember a lot of doubters during that, but there's always that what if factor. He's putting any what if behind him right now. For anybody that thinks that he's not an ace, for anybody that thinks he can't carry a rotation, in a very small sample size for this season, it's only 3 games, but look at what he did last year. He only had a couple of rocky starts. When he went through more of the second half, he was a Cy Young candidate. He got Cy Young votes for what he did last year, and he's showing that's not a fluke. What makes me excited is he's not just relying on his fastball. His fastball, we know it tops out at 102. He even has on his glove 103. Like, he has that type of stuff. We know he has that. He was throwing 100 miles an hour in the 9th inning yesterday.
Yeah, he hit 101 on the radar gun.
I mean, he is that guy that's showing that longevity, and he has something left in the tank. But I think the moment may have got to him a little bit because he was trying to do too much. He was trying to get that third out by striking out Lee, trying to strike out Chapman, and they were sitting on the fastball. But throughout the entire game, he's using his slider, he's using his off speed, he's working everything in his favor to get guys out in front, getting those pop-ups, doing a lot of different things. As I said earlier, he's no longer a talented thrower. He has turned into a talented thinking pitcher who knows how to work a batter, knows how to work the count, and is showing that this year may be one of those special years where a Cy Young vote or two may be what gets him going in the direction he's doing right now. And at the end of the year, we have a whole different conversation.
Absolutely. Now, he wasn't the only guy to pitch in this game, and I do want to spend just a minute on the other guy that actually got in the game for the Reds, and that's Tony Santillan. I can't tell you how excited I am to have Tito Francona run Santillan out there in a high-leverage save situation, runner on base, needing to nail down that final out and going to Santillan. Jeff is a big fan of Tony Santillan and has been saying for a while now that he thought he could be a closer. He thought that Jeff thinks Santillan could be at least a back end of this bullpen guy and compete with the Alexis Diaz's and the other guys on this team. I kind of agree with that, and I love seeing Santillan in this situation. The moment wasn't too big for him. He comes in, he gets the out, and they get out of there with the win. Tony Santillan gets his first save of the year. I'm really excited for the development we've seen from Santillan from the time he came up as a starter and accepted that role in the bullpen. And now he is really leaned into that role and is trying to make the most of being a shutdown guy coming out of the bullpen.
I have a point, but I also have a question to follow up with this. I hope you're right. And I hope Jeff's right, because I have not been on the Tony Santillan bus or the I don't want to go into that either,
Yeah.
but I have not been their biggest supporter the last 2 years. The only positive thing I could have said in the last 2 years about either one of those was Ian Jabot had a great walkout song with Big X the Plug. That was the only thing I could tell you that was positive in my book. He's making me change my mind, and I'm grateful for that. And I want to see what he does throughout the rest of the year. And with Tito's support, what can he turn into? But here's my question, though. I understand your support, but you cannot tell me with a straight face, you're not sitting there thinking, I kind of wish Pagan was out there instead. You can't tell me that.
No, I can't. I'm going to tell you why. I will tell you why. Because in 2024, Tony Santillan threw 30 innings for this club at the big league level. In those 30 innings, he had a 2.7 walks per 9. He had a 13.8 strikeouts per 9. His stuff has been trending towards closer for the last 2 years. I love that he's getting an opportunity. I'm not sold on Emilio Pagan. I know he's got closing experience in his history. I've been telling Jeff, I want this bullpen to be closer by committee the rest of the way. I want Tito to be able to come out and us not be sure who he's going to. Is he going to go to Alexis Diaz? Is he going to go to Emilio Pagan? Is he going to go to Tony Santillan? I love that there's this many options. And any of those three guys, Eric, I'm fine with. But I would have not have rather have seen Pagan in that situation. But I do like the fact that for Lodolo today, Pagan is rested and available and sitting down there if they need him. I like it.
Let's go down this rabbit hole for a quick second. Let's have a little bit of a back and forth between two buddies sitting in paradise. I don't agree with you on having closer by committee. And Tito has kind of said that with the lineup. He knows guys want to be in certain spots in the lineup. I don't see him doing closer by committee throughout this season. I think he is going to find the guy that he wants. I think he wants it to be Alexis Diaz. I think the front office wants it to be Alexis Diaz. I don't know if Alexis Diaz is going to be that guy, though. I don't think Pagan is that guy. I think at the current point in time, I was sitting there thinking, I want a guy a little more experience out there with 2 on and 2 out and only up by 2. But I stick to what I said earlier. I hope he keeps proving me wrong. I really want this bullpen to have 4 guys that when they go in there, that hitters don't want to see them. Hopefully it's Diaz. Hopefully it's Santillan. Hopefully it's Pagan. And hopefully it's Graham Ashcraft. Those 4 are wicked in terms of what they can provide and their demeanor. I like all 4 of them, but I really do want a defined role. Who is the closer?
I have some thoughts on that, and we're going to talk hitters, and we're going to get into all of that coming up next. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets back if your first bet wins. I love FanDuel. FanDuel gives you so many options to get in on the game, whether you're going on a money line, whether you're going on a parlay. FanDuel has a little something for everybody. You can bet on 3-pointers. You can bet on steals. You can bet on assists. If you're watching a baseball game, you can get in on stolen bases. You can get in on home runs. There's so many different ways to bet on your favorite players and create player props all along the way. Plus, you're watching the NBA after the game tips off. You can even combine live prop bets into same game parlays with a chance to win big. So don't miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com right now and claim your $250 in bonus bets back if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel.com, the official sportsbook partner of Locked On. If you can't watch us here on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the audio feeds. We're in, I think, every single one of them. Take us to the gym with you. Take us in the car. I usually say take us for a walk down by the river. Again, don't do that right now. Not safe, but if you're close to the Ohio right now, if you're in the flooded areas, be safe. I hope you're all okay. And once things dry out, we'll get back to making the walk by the river jokes. All right, Eric, you made some great points there. And, I think Graham Ashcraft's the forgotten man right now. And Jeff and I are both also high on Ashcraft. I agree with you. If they get into a scenario where there's 4 guys that you're confident on at any given time to be the back end of the rotation, and you can use the Ian Jabos and the Brent Suitors and those guys in the 6th and 7th inning when you need them, that's the ideal scenario. And I think I trust Tito. I trust Derek Johnson to kind of get that developed. And I'm excited about what's in the bullpen. There's been a lot of people, they're not as sold, I think, on this bullpen as I am. But I think time will tell. And I like the direction things are trending right now. I think they're moving in the right direction. Guys still need to establish themselves. Obviously, Alexis Diaz needs to get back and prove something. I need for Alexis Diaz to come back and be hungry for this thing. I need for Alexis Diaz to come back and want to be the closer of this team and not walk the first batter he faces every time he comes out. I need him to come in and be a shutdown guy. And all last season, he was not a shutdown guy. I, in fact, lost confidence when he would come into a game. It wasn't, all right, here comes Alexis, we got this. It was more of, my God, I hope he only walks 1, because if he walks more than 1, we're in trouble. So I need Alexis Diaz to reestablish himself. If he can do that, and as you say, if Ashcraft and Pagan and even Santillan all come along for that ride, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun baseball heading into September and October.
I fully agree. That 2023 version of Alexis Diaz is what we need. Mm-hmm. And I don't think this bullpen is shaky right now. I think it's not stable either. It's that in between shaky and stable. I don't know what you call that, but it is in that situation where I feel a lot more confident and comfortable with them than I had in years past, because you didn't really have anybody that was a specialist. Who was the left-hander coming out that was going to be the specialist? Who was going to be the guy in the 8th? You kind of had a lot of in between. The only thing you had solidified was Alexis Diaz was coming out in the 9th. But last year, that kind of started to fade. If they can get that somehow defined, that's why I'm against the closer by committee conversation, is if they can get guys defined, that we may see Graham Ashcraft and Pagan in the 7th or 8th. You throw Santillan in there, and Diaz is in the 9th. Cool, depending on the situation. If Diaz is gone 3 games and you got to throw another one in there, then it is Tony. I'm all for that, but I do want guys to have some kind of a set role, because they're baseball players. They like having that. And I think if we can refer to anything, Rossiel Iglesias, that guy needed to know his role. He needed to know. If you put him out there any other time until the 9th inning, he didn't like it. I think most pitchers lean that way.
These are great points, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll continue to debate this throughout the years and throughout the year, and you're going to be back whenever we get an opportunity to have you on. So we will check in on this for sure. But I do want to get to the hitting a little bit, because while it wasn't an offensive breakout, the Reds got it done when they needed to get it done in the 8th inning there. They managed to load up the bases. You get Spencer Steer that works a walk. You get a couple guys on base behind him, and then Blake Dunn comes up. And this is not the guy, if you told me to pick the perfect scenario with the bases loaded, that I would have picked to be at bat. But nope. He takes the ball, drives it the other way down the right field line, gets it past Yaz, and gets 2 RBIs out of the deal on a double. And it was exactly enough to get the Reds a win in this game. And sometimes that's the thing you need to spark a team. Sometimes that's the thing you need that gets carried forward and helps the team go on a heater. And I really hope that that's where we're at, between that pitching performance and then the young Blake Dunn coming up and getting a 2 RBI double. I hope that sparks this team moving forward, and we can talk about a series win out here against the Giants. I was excited for Blake Dunn. I was excited to see him get it done. But where I want to start with that is Spencer Steer drawing that walk. He's had some really good at-bats over the last couple games. We finally saw that Spencer Steer swing on the homer in the last game of the Milwaukee series, and he looked really good in his at-bats last night against the Giants. He was 1 for 3 on the day, scored that run, but also drew a walk. And even in his at-bats that he didn't get on base, he looks a lot more comfortable. And I'm beginning to question if his performance early on was less about the shoulder, which it was very easy for us to all point at that shoulder and say, well, the problem is he's hurt. But maybe it was just more about the fact that he only had something like 7 at-bats in spring training and was asked to just jump in there and face major league pitching that was trying to get a win. I think that may have been the problem, and he's finally getting his timing.
You took the same exact thought out of my head. I was wondering, like we all were, when they show up to Dayton and he's out there and you're like, wait, he hasn't taken a bat in a game in almost 3 weeks. What's happening here? And then everything kind of unfolded and made a lot more sense, and we got there. But he did get a cortisone shot. So that cortisone shot, I mean, you know that more than I do in terms of what the medical effects are that. But if he got a cortisone shot, then more than likely the shoulder at this point is not the problem. It probably was the lack of at-bats, and he was taking his rest and whatnot, because more than likely he'd probably be starting in Louisville right now on a rehab assignment just to get back in the swing of things if it wasn't for a turn of events going into opening day. So he's on par timing-wise now to where it's going to be interesting to see what he does the rest of this series and when they come back to Cincinnati and what he does with these at-bats, because he, like you said, he looks a lot more comfortable.
Briefly touch on Elly De La Cruz, another game, another hit, also drew a walk. I know that some have been saying that Ellie's getting a little bit more chippy in the box, so to speak, and not showing patience. But I really like what we've seen from Elly. I like the work he put in the offseason. I like how it's manifesting itself on the field. I think he's just going to continue to get better and better as the season progresses.
I agree. There is one thing that actually two. One, I think we're not going to see today, but we're going to see tomorrow is Matt McLain back in the lineup. Maybe that's just my wishful thinking. He does a lot better when Matt McLain's hitting in front of him. I don't like the 4-hole hitter right now. Like, Gavin Lux is not a 4-hitter.
Nope.
I understand switch hitter, lefty righty matchup, all this other stuff, because you go from McLain's a right to a switcher and Elly to a lefty and Lux. I get that understanding of analytics and playing the odds, but there needs to be an established cleanup hitter, and I still believe that's Austin Hayes. And the fact that we got some positive news about him going in today, and he's going to start a rehab assignment on April 10th, makes me feel really, really good. And that's the thing I think Ellie's missing. He's missing protection behind him. He provides protection for TJ Friedel, Matt McLain, or whoever's hitting in second. He needs protection from behind him so there's somebody there that at some point in that bat, Ellie's going to get a fastball. And he's not looking for curve or off speed because they know that nobody's behind him that's going to drive him in. So I'm curious to see how that goes, if they can get an established number 4 hitter, whether it is Austin Hayes, whether it be CES, whether Candelario heats up in May like he traditionally does. Who's that going to be? Because right now, I don't think it's Gavin Lux, and that's not the reason they traded for him, was to be in the 4-hole.
No, there's a lot of guys playing in positions and being asked to do things that aren't going to lead to their highest level of success. I understand that Tito's just trying to get through until Hayes comes back, until Tyler Stevenson is back, and you can really run the lineup out there the way you want to. And this pitching, as we talked about in the first segment, it's going to go a long way in helping the Reds to be successful. But listen, they can't sit back on their heels now and celebrate one win and relax. They're going to have to continue to press forward. And coming up, we're going to talk about Nick Lodolo because it's his turn to shine against the San Francisco Giants. We've got that coming up next. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. And that's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients is also partnered with 2-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF-certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. Listen, this stuff is great. I got to tell you, you grab one bag of this stuff, 1 scoop, and 8 ounces of milk, and you are on your way. You're on your way to better workouts. You're on your way to better health. You're on your way to better recovery with Just Ingredients. They have clean and transparent ingredients. I love the fact that they prioritize wholesome, nourishing ingredients without all of the artificial junk. Whether you're recovering from a workout or need an energy boost for your job or just to get through the day sometimes, their grass-fed whey protein and pre-workout deliver real results. So just visit justingredients.us and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off your first order. And if you would like some more wellness tips, if you'd like to check out some more information, head over to Instagram and go at Just Ingredients to learn more. Once again, thanks for following us here at Locked On Reds and making us your first listen. Make sure you click those subscribe buttons, the notification bells, so you can join us every time we go live. It was live on Monday afternoon pregame to kind of talk about the weekend and the Giant series. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of that. And if you want to catch us in the audio feeds, subscribe there as well. All right, Eric, we've seen great starting pitching, and we've seen great starting pitching through pretty much the entire rotation. Carson Spires struggled his last time out, but for the most part, everybody's been good. Even Nick Martinez's not good was at the tail end of a start that was pretty great until it wasn't. So looking at this rotation, now with Nick Lodolo coming to the mound, the pressure, is it on? I don't know. But the Reds need they need a matching performance. They need Nick Lodolo to go out there and do what Hunter Greene did, which is just shut down this Giants lineup and give the Reds lineup time to cook while it's kind of playing shorthanded.
Are you at all worried about Nick Lodolo and his low strikeout numbers so far?
No, it's still early. The ball's not doing the things that it normally does. I do think that Nick Lodolo is probably still tinkering a little bit with new grips and trying to make sure that blister problem doesn't become a chronic problem. I know that he worked on changing his grips in the offseason. I talked with some guys close to the team that know Nick was tinkering. So I'm not surprised, because even though he worked on all that stuff in the offseason and in Goodyear, it's different when you get to the game situations. It's different when you're pitching 100%. So I think he's still trying to get the feel for some things, but I'm not worried about him. I think he's looked pretty good so far.
I go back to what we had our conversation earlier about Hunter Greene. Nick Lodolo is turning into a pitcher, not just a guy that's trying to out-throw everybody, not trying to just use his stuff to strike everybody out. He's trying to put the ball in play by using those different grips and trying to do different things. I think the blister part of it, you make an excellent point about that. But I really believe he is turning into a pitcher just like Hunter Greene. He wants to be a 1-2 combo. Who's number one? Maybe it's Hunter. The other day is going to be Nick Lodolo. The fact that they're making that stride and making that step is what makes me excited that these two guys could really be the core of this rotation for years to come. I think you could throw Andrew Abbott in there. I'm interested to see what he does this year. And then you have stability in Brady Singer, and I don't know what Carson Spears' role is going to be. I mean, it's something to keep an eye on. But, where does Rhett Lauder fit into this later on? Where does Chase Petty fit in? Where does Chase Burns fit into this? Like, you look at this rotation and what's behind them. Again, this is the strongest point of this franchise right now, is their starting pitching and where it can take them. And Nick Lodolo is right there with Hunter Greene on being that 1-2 combo. And that's why I'm really excited to see what he does today away from Great American Ballpark in a pitcher's park. What is he going to provide?
You talk about Nick Lodolo, his strikeout totals are down. 2 starts so far on the season, a 1.42 ERA. He's averaging 6 1/3 innings in those starts. I would ask you, I don't know if you have it in front of you, maybe off the top of your head, his strikeouts per 9 right now is 3.6. Do you know what his walks per 9 is in the first 2 starts of the year?
I don't, but I'm excited to hear it, though.
He has not walked a batter.
No kidding.
He has not walked a batter. He has a 0.0 walks per 9 right now. So he's pitching to weak contact. He's missing barrels. To your point of moving from thrower to pitcher and trying to just blow guys away, it's exactly what Nick Lodolo is doing right now. When you were making that point, I thought maybe you knew that he hadn't walked anybody yet. He's not issued a free pass.
I did not. That's why you see the smile on my face. I'm like, I'm glad we're talking about that, because it's one of those things where you're noticing it and you're like, there's a change here. And you may not have the analytics in front of you, may not have the numbers in front of you, but you just know there's a change in this guy. Hunter Greene, we saw it last year. I think we're seeing that right now in Nick Lodolo.
I think so. I think so as well. And just real quickly, I'm going to have you back on for tomorrow's show as well, because I'm excited to kind of talk about Brady Singer with you also. I really feel like Brady Singer is a guy that's going to deserve a lot of credit. When we get to the end of the season, he's going to be a guy we point at and say, talk about somebody that came in and stabilized a rotation and just kind of brought the, I'm going to start 30 games and be a workhorse and do my thing kind of attitude. That's Brady Singer. And I think that's having an effect on the other guys as well. I really like how this whole rotation is coming together for the Cincinnati Reds. Heading into tonight's game, do you have a prediction on a offensive player that might break out? Blake Dunn was the hero last night. Who's going to be the hero tonight?
I'm going to tell you who I want it to be, and then I'm going to tell you who I think it's going to be. Okay. I want to be Candelario. That's who I want. I'm desperately hoping that he becomes the guy they signed last year. I think we're going to see a Gavin Lux step up.
Okay.
We've seen Gavin Lux have great at-bats. Look at the 8th inning tonight. I know he struck out, but in a high situation, he worked a great count. He worked it to a full count at 3-2 against a lefty who he only hits 180 against career-wise, but he worked a tough at-bat. I think he's seen the ball. I think he's working great counts and great at-bats. I feel like we're going to see something from Gavin Lux tonight that's going to make me go, okay, this is the guy they traded for. I want to be Candelario, but I think it's going to be Lux.
And for me, I'm going to go with, I don't know if he's going to start. I don't know if we'll see him as a pinch hitter, but there will be a Matt McLain moment in tonight's game. He will somehow find his way to get in. He was available to pitch hit in yesterday's game. I think he'll be available tonight one way or the other. He's going to get in the game. He's going to do something big.
I know we're running out of time. I want to say this real quick about Matt McLain. And unless they make a move today and they move him to the IL, which I don't think is going to happen, I want people to understand soft tissue injuries. The worst thing for soft tissue injuries is cold weather. Mm-hmm. And it's cold in San Francisco right now. I do not think we will.
You don't want him to play.
Yeah, we don't want that. I do not think we're going to see Matt McLain until the day game in San Francisco. That's what I think is going to end up happening. So if you do not see him and they don't put him on the IL, I think we'll see him the following day because they do not want to play him with any sort of hamstring issue in cold weather.
Well, that's a fair point because, there's people on record that say the coldest winter they ever had was a summer in San Francisco. So there you go. And that is where we will wrap up this edition of Locked On Reds. Thanks so much for making us your first listen every dayers. Jump back in tomorrow. Eric's going to be back. We're going to continue to break down this San Francisco Giants series. We're going to gather up all the news and notes between now and then and keep you locked on Reds every single day.
Chee-hoo!